Okay then guys, here we go. We are ranking all of the Kung Fu Panda movies from worst all the way up to best. Of course, in this franchise there is 4 movies that I have reviewed, I have watched, I have basically for the last month I've uploaded one every single week, and I have given you a video on Kung Fu Panda. What do I think of the franchise? Where do I think it's going to go in the future? And overall, what's my thoughts? But let's get into the ranking from worst all the way up to best. So in at number 4, the worst film I thought by all of them was Kung Fu Panda 2. The second Kung Fu Panda movie that came out in 2011, I gave it 2.5 stars, and I put it rock bottom at the very, very bottom of the pile. I can't even remember really what I said about this film, and that's the thing about it. It's one of the most forgetful movies in the franchise. The entire villain is just dull, and the whole direction that the film actually takes is really disappointing. It's a very, very dull sequel in my opinion. Doesn't have as much of the stuff going on as the first one. I did find Po to actually be quite engaging in this film in comparison to the other one, the first movie that I'd obviously watched. I felt like Po had much more character development happening and all that. And that does pick up in the other movies, especially the third one. There is a lot more development of his character, but I felt like for the second one, it was very lacking in that department, and I didn't feel as engaged, and I didn't really care about Po's journey, and that was the main problem with it. I gave it a 2.5 stars because it's still a solid score. The animation looked amazing, the sound looked class, all of that, but in terms of the actual feelings and emotionality within that film, I was not on board. So in at number 4 then, there it is, Kung Fu Panda 2. Up the list a little bit into number 3, and again another 2.5 star, but this just pipped it for me, and this is Kung Fu Panda 4. And I think number 4 for me was basically in this position because I watched her in the cinema, because I had that cinematic experience. Obviously the other 3 I very much watched at home, but number 4 has more stuff going on to it, but it is still dull. There is still very much a lack of, you know, everything in terms of that emotion. The whole Furious 5 disappearing and not being in the 4th one really was really bad, I thought, because for the 3 films they were pivotal to a lot of the story development of Po and being there, being his mentor and all that. But to have them just disappear completely for the 4th movie just didn't sit right with me, and didn't feel like a Kung Fu Panda movie. So that was a bit of a shame. But yeah, 2.5 stars again. Look great. I like the villain of the chameleon, like that concept of changing into different things. But that's about it for me. And Viola Davis as well was amazing. Number 2 then, we got 2 left. But the second best Kung Fu Panda movie for me is Kung Fu Panda 3. Yeah, really loved this one. 2016 this one came out, and this is the one where we basically saw Po go on a bit more of a journey. It wasn't really about Kung Fu. It was more about him as a panda, him finding his dad, who was voiced by Bryan Cranston, who in my opinion stole the actual film. I thought he was brill as the role of Lee. You got the 2 dads who are fighting over each other, trying to be Po's dad. And then Po actually go into the spirit realm, becoming the Grand Master, getting the staff of Oogway. I don't know, it just felt like much more of a rounded story. And, you know, the fact that then, you know, he found his dad as well at the end, which obviously then led into the 4th one. But I don't know, it just felt like the 3rd one was a bit more engaging, a bit more stuff going on, more development of his character, and I did enjoy it. Again, doesn't hit the heights in terms of great animation films, which I'll talk later on about, obviously the franchise as a whole. But for me, 3.5 stars I thought was a solid score to give Kung Fu Panda 3. Which obviously means in at number 1 is, of course, Kung Fu Panda 1, 2008. This came out, obviously. And yeah, this is my favourite one, because this is the one where the journey started. This is the one that made the franchise successful in the first place. I gave it a 3.5 stars as well. For me, the whole franchise really doesn't hit the heights of things like the Minions, especially things like Pixar movies, things like Shrek. It doesn't hit those top animation heights for me. The fact that it's got 4 movies in this franchise is crazy to me. I know it's taken a ton of money and it's basically near approaching a $2 billion franchise. And if that happens, it's probably going to have a 5th movie as well, let's be honest. But I just feel like this franchise is very much dead now, I think, especially the 4th film. It hasn't really reviewed very well from when I was looking. So I think the franchise personally needs to end here. It's decent, but it's not the levels of Despicable Me and all those other franchises that I mentioned. You know, the first film for me was okay. It did, you know, it evolved. It was a good story. It had good concept to it. But to be honest, I find the films very much dull and boring. And, you know, the whole franchise for me is just very stagnated. And as a whole, I probably will never want to watch Kung Fu Panda movies again. Like, they're not going to be a rewatch that I'm going to be very interested to do. I'll probably watch them again when Kung Fu Panda 5 comes out, because I'll be revisiting them from this point of view maybe in a couple of years' time. But that is it. That is my ranking of the 4 Kung Fu Panda movies. Of course, if you are interested and you want to go and watch each individual video, they are up on the channel and they are there. But yeah, Kung Fu Panda is a no for me. I am going to go and practice my Kung Fu Panda wisdomness, and I am going to go and become the grandmaster of YouTube uploading. But yeah, thanks so much for watching, guys. Stay tuned for more. Of course, go back and watch those videos if you're interested, and of course I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.